Okay, good morning. It's WTF Wednesday, but we're just not going to WTF CNN so much on this one today cuz I mean, how do you screw up this headline? Joe Biden, at a time when his voter base is demanding that we defund the police, decided, "You know what I'm going to pick for my running mate? I'm going to pick the dirtiest cop I know." So Kamala Harris, the dirty cop Kamala Harris, the deeply corrupt San Francisco prosecutor at a time when law and order is what America is likely to vote for come November, Joe Biden said, "I want the woman who's responsible for the crime situation in San Francisco as my running mate." Oh, guys,
She
there's
smelled the best.
so much wrong here. At a time when teachers are demanding that we keep the schools shut down, Joe Biden says, "You know what? I want the woman that prosecuted parents for truancy in order to combat the epidemic of parents choosing to homeschool their children and demanding that school choice be made a reality so that they could use the money that was being stolen from them at gunpoint by the government to better educate their children without the use of the deeply corrupt teachers union and the thereby employed and secured useless public education." So Joe Biden has just made all of the other candidates that were on that stage ask themselves one very important question: what kind of shampoo does Kamala Harris use that Joe thought she smelled better than me? Uh, Real quick, little bit of housekeeping before Cameron starts trying to get some points in. If you're watching and you notice there's a phone number across the bottom of the screen there. I don't know how this works. I don't know if it works well, but it's there so we can play with it today. If somebody wants to call in, I'll give you a couple of minutes and we'll see how that unfolds. But Cameron,
Man, you you can't make this shit up. Like, I mean, because in no way is this a good choice. Just okay, all jokes, all sarcasm aside, this is this is pure virtue signaling, and Kamala was one of the first people to drop out of the primaries because um, she peaked way too early, and then hovered around getting like 1, 2, 3% of the vote. That's not that's not a good VP choice. Your VP choice is supposed to shore up where you are weak. Ironically enough, when Joe Biden was chosen as the VP, he was chosen as the VP because the biggest legitimate criticism against Barack Obama politically, not socially, but politically, was he had so little experience, and Joe Biden had decades of experience. When Trump
which
picked
is
Mike
hilarious.
when Trump picked Mike Pence, it was for a similar reason. Mike Pence had tons of experience. He was a popular governor. And Mike Pence is very straight laced. I mean, if he was any stiffer, you could probably use him as a surfboard. But he counterbalanced the freewheeling Donnie Two Scoops Trump. Um, the only thing that Kamala Harris counterbalances is two cocks at a time. I mean, excuse me. The only thing that Kamala Harris counterbalances is old white man, because she's not old white man. She's like two ethnicities and female, and
Yeah,
that's
and
the
I'll
only.
and let me be perfectly fair with this. Ben Shapiro, I think he really hit the nail on the head with the analysis on Kamala as a VP pick. It's a confusing pick because she just doesn't. The only thing no, she doesn't bring anything to the game. Just like you were saying with the experience, Joe's got the experience as far as Democrats are concerned. Joe's got a great track record of experience. I mean, look at the 1990s. Joe, I mean, he did what Democrats do. He opened up that crime bill, empowering people like Harris to dramatically expand the prison populations, because Joe understands that when you have a problem with black people committing crime, you fight, you fight fire with fire, and you fight blacks with blacks. That's that's been Joe's functional policy for the what 40 years he's been in the Senate. Um, because I think Joe Biden's been a senator as long as I've been alive. I mean, the first time he ran a disastrously failed presidential campaign was in the 80s, when he had to step down because well, he plagiarized his way into his degree, and he plagiarized his way into his speeches. Um, and then, of course, Joe Biden, who literally authored the policies that the black community complains about when they argue that, and they're not correct, but that's not the point. When they argue that the system is racist and disproportionately targets and incarcerates black men. That's Biden. He he wrote the he wrote the bill. Like that's his baby. He owns that. He goes for the top cop. Kamala, California was going to go to Biden no matter what. So Kamala doesn't bring a state. Joe Biden did better with black voters than Kamala did in the primary. So she doesn't bring black voters, right? Um, Kamala has a record of, I mean, her record is that she got spit roasted by Willie Brown, and that's how she got into politics to begin with. She has a, I mean, she has a track record of lay to play politics, and I mean, she's made it very clear that, oh no, she sucked her way through that glass ceiling. Um, she's she's a prosecutor who has a history of prostituting herself for a new position. Um, in an America that's in an America where the Democrat Party is more and more progressive on transactional sex, she has a record of fighting against the decriminalization of prostitution and actively shutting down, like, she was a big player in shutting down Backstage, which was basically Craigslist for hookers. Um, and honestly, I'm a little conflicted on that because, well, whatever my opinion on that is, that's not something that the Dems are going to like. That's not something that the Dems want in a VP pick. We're talking about the woman who falsified and suppressed evidence in order to keep people in prison after their sentences were over, or to prevent them from being exonerated, so that they could be kept in prison. And like Tulsi Gabbard said, she did that so that she could continue to take advantage of cheap prison labor. Um,
Slave labor, basically.
yeah,
This is the woman that somehow managed to listen to Tupac before his first album ever dropped.
oh God,
I don't know how that works.
back during the primary, Steven Crowder did one of his 7+1s on her, and it was a list of time travel movies about Kamala Harris. Whew.
You forgot the one in the chamber.
One of them was Hot Tub Lie Machine.
Oh, but there's another way to look at this.
I doubt it.
Well, no, there.
No.
Okay, fine, derail me. No, Kamala Harris is in an extremely unenviable position because she's the one that's going to go down with the Titanic. In fact, maybe the fact that she was unpopular and didn't get a lot of the vote, maybe that's part of why she was picked. She's the sacrifice. It allows the Democrats to continue their narrative of we champion the women and we champion the POCs. And look, we had Kamala Harris as our VP pick, and it was the racist Donald Trump that defeated us, and all of that other.
Hey, we've actually got a caller. Let's see if I can make this thing operate. All right. Uh-oh. I appear to have missed the call.
Hi, Chris.
Oh, there you are. Hold on
You
just
got
a
it?
second.
Hey, Chris. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Drew. Hold on just a second. Let me
Hi.
see if I can get you in here.
Okay.
Okay. Cameron, can you hear him?
Yeah.
All right.
Hello.
Hey, Drew. I think we've got you on the show. How you doing this morning, brother?
Yeah. I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
We're up, baby. We're up.
Yeah. So I have a couple questions. First of all, why in the world did we pick Kamala Harris? Because if you're like trying to win against Donald Trump, Kamala Harris is not the one you choose. And number two.
No, she's not.
And number two, this seriously makes me question. If I wasn't already questioning where his mental status was, now this really makes me question where his mental status is at. Because this would have not been my choice for VP. I'm just going to tell you right now.
No, certainly not. And like we've just pointed out, Kamala Harris's record is pretty clear. She's a pot smoker that prosecuted, thousands of pot smokers, and then when the political winds changed, she laughed it off and decided to switch for a pro pot policy. She's
Right.
she's the same prosecutor that decided that we needed to lock up people in San Francisco for truancy, which is skipping school. And
Right.
yeah, I mean she's a dirty cop from the bottom to the top, and that's the choice to make when your voter base is all about defunding the police. So, like I've said several times before, Joe Biden does not have early onset dementia. He's 80. It's not early onset when you're 80. And actually, I'm glad you mentioned his mental health. Donald Trump is getting up there in age too. He's 71 or 72. And I saw a segment on the Five the other day, and Donna Brazile was kind of defending. She was sticking up for Biden, and she said, I just don't think 70's all that old. You might, but I don't think 70's all that old. It's not unreasonable for a man to run for president when he's 70. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, how is Howard Gutfeld and Jesse Waters missing this? Donna, the man's not 70. He's 80. Okay,
Right.
he's 79 and a half or 79 and three quarters. But 70 and 79, no, he's 80.
Right.
So sure, maybe 70's not that old, but 80.
And like we discussed, Chris, and I want Cameron's opinion on this too. I am seriously debating whether I even want to vote in this election cycle because I do not know who to vote for as our president, or should I say, next president of the United States. Because there's just nothing you can sink your teeth into to agree with one side or the other. And I know that you said it's morally wrong not to vote, but I'm seriously thinking about seriously sitting out this election term.
Okay.
I didn't say it was morally
Wait.
wrong. I said it's morally irresponsible not to vote. Oh,
Now, look, and I'll be honest with you. If you don't want to vote, don't. If you can't make up your mind, fine, don't vote. And if that
Right,
sounds harsh, I'm sorry, but I am a big believer in, if you don't want to be engaged, don't be engaged. Don't just decide one day out of every 4 years, well, I'm going to go be an American and do my civic duty. I don't know anything except that one's an R and one's a D. And frankly, at this point, and I just, again, don't want to be too harsh on you, Drew, but if you can't decide if you're going to vote for the person that has dementia or the person that doesn't have dementia, then
then you ain't black.
but but all jokes aside, I mean, this is such a slam dunk of a choice. You have a pro-American capitalist president who, up until the coronavirus, was giving us some of our best economic growth ever in the history of our country. We're talking about somebody that forced China to the negotiating table, that forced North Korea to the negotiating table, that repaired our strained relationships with Russia, that has, even for liberal causes, he's given more money to historically black colleges than any other president ever. He's he's torn down all sorts of regulations, all sorts of barriers to entry, even humanitarian stuff. Like, if you have a terminal illness, you are now allowed to try experimental medicine to save your life.
Unless
And
it's
you're
right,
hydroxychloroquine.
right.
uh,
Uh,
so there's literally a huge track record of success that you can point to with Donald Trump in a very
right,
short period of time. And then you have Joe Biden, who, even if you throw away the dementia thing, dude has said so many racist things over the years that I think it's pretty obvious where his heart is at. He has that whole soft bigotry of low expectations with black people. Oh,
Oh,
those
and
poor.
no,
Go
right.
ahead,
there
buddy.
is. I don't think there's ever been a sentence uttered in history that more perfectly illustrates the soft bigotry of low expectation than, you know, poor kids are just as smart as white kids.
Yeah, that's the exact one I was
I mean,
about to
that's
reference.
Right.
I was
you
literally
can't
going
hit that
right there.
nail. You can't hit that nail any more squarely on the head. All right, Drew,
Well,
we're gonna have to let you go so we can move on. We got another caller trying to call in just a second ago.
okay. All right.
All right, thanks for calling in, brother.
Hey, you too. Bye.
Bye bye.
Well, yeah, I mean, hell yeah, thank me for calling in. It's, we wouldn't have a show. So,
No, but seriously, I am against. Every now and then, the left will point to Australia and be like, "Well, everybody's required to vote in Australia, and everybody gets the day off. It's a national holiday, so you can go vote." And
and how's that working
no,
out for Australia? Everybody has to vote. You're forced to vote, and Australia has massive gun control laws, uh, and no free speech.
yeah, no,
They've
no,
got
no, no, no.
universal health care. Well, yeah, because they don't have to fund a freaking blue water navy because, oh, we're there.
Yeah, seriously, you don't want to vote? Don't. Stay out of the way. If that's really how you want to play it, fine. Let the men go to work and the children can stay home and play. No offense, Drew, but that's just my attitude on it, generally speaking.
Yep.
I wonder who that other caller was.
You know what? You keep talking, and I'm going to do a little experiment and see if I can't figure it out and call him back.
But going back to Drew's original question, why Kamala Harris? Yeah, it's purely for the optics. That's what it is. She's the sacrificial lamb. She's going to have to take it on the chin this go round and get attached to a dumpster fire of a campaign because Joe Biden's not actually going to be the president. I mean, if he were to win, he would have the title of president. That's true. But he's not going to be the president. The people that are handling him, they're the people that are going to be the president. And I really believe that some conversation was had with Kamala Harris along the lines of, don't get it twisted, sister. If you think that you're going to attach yourself to this campaign, and in a year, when Biden resigns because he's unfit for the office, yes, you'll get moved up into the position of president, but you still are going to be handled in a similar fashion to Joe Biden. I mean, she's now look. I don't think it'll happen. I really don't. I am becoming more and more confident of a Trump victory every day. Um, I mean, I've said it before. I'll say it again. As long as there's not massive mail-in voting, if we have to go vote in person, then Trump wins.
All right, we've got another caller on the line. Who do we have?
Morning, fellas. It's Alex.
How you doing, sugar?
Alex,
What's going on? I
Oh,
wanted to be
not
the
much.
first call. I
Say
wanted to be
again?
the first caller, but of course Drew beat me to it.
Yep, he was he was
He was
waiting
on.
on that button.
Yeah, he was on the ball today. Shame he's not as decisive when it comes to who he's going to vote for. He's gone back and forth a dozen times, and it should be an easy decision, but whatever. Listen, it was probably the most tone deaf decision the Democrats have ever made. And when you consider what's going on in the country right now, what the left is protesting for, criminal justice reform and defunding the police, and then Joe Biden picks a person who personifies the corrupt justice system to be VP. I think they expect to lose. I swear to God, I think they're expecting to lose, and this gives them cover. This way they can turn around and point at Kamala Harris and say she's to blame.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that. And we've said something to that effect before. Um, I've even gone so far. I don't think I've gone so far on the air with this, but I've gone so far in conversations with Cameron off air talking about the situation. I think that part of what's happening here is the Democrat Party has been so corrupted and infiltrated by groups like Antifa and BLM. What they want are the riots, and they know that if they can tank this election, then they can blame the riots on Donald Trump. And if he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't handle the riots correctly, that will end up being a stain on the Republican Party for a decade, and that may be the plan.
Well, that may be what they think, but that isn't the way it's going to play out. Here's the thing.
Agreed.
Now we're gonna sit back and we're gonna watch everybody's principles collapse. Because right now,
Yeah.
everybody, we support BLM, we support defunding the police, we want justice for everyone. Well, now that they've picked Kamala Harris, who is, captain criminal justice system, they're going to have to make a decision. Do we continue to support BLM, or do we now support Kamala Harris? Because you cannot do both.
Correct.
Simple as that. You cannot do both. And if they now turn around and support Kamala Harris, they can never expect anyone to ever take Black Lives Matter seriously ever again.
One of the lines of attack that you're going to hear.
credibility.
Well, one of the lines of attack that you will hear from the BLM and Antifa terrorist groups when they start putting out their propaganda against Kamala, they're going to point out that her mother is Indian and that her father, they're going to basically point out she's only half black. She doesn't really count because,
Sure.
like Don Lemon said, no, Terry Crews, don't get it confused. not all Black Lives Matter. That's a verbatim quote from Don Lemon. Not all Black Lives Matter. Like, wow, brother,
Yeah,
why don't you
only the ones that agree with us. Only the ones
just
that
put that
agree
down?
matter.
Exactly.
So, listen, she's unsure of what she is. When she was sworn into the Senate, it was as she referred to herself as an Indian American.
Yep.
Now she's going to play the black card up until November and see how that goes, I suppose. But it's just pure hypocrisy. The optics of it are terrible. It's tone deaf. It's completely tone deaf to what's going on in the country right now. And quite frankly, it's a big middle finger to Black Lives Matter. So,
Oh yeah.
but you watch, Black Lives Matter will, I predict this, Black Lives Matter will turn around and support her.
Oh, Talcum X has already he's already tweeted about how she's a fantastic choice.
There you go.
Well, it's going to
Their
look a lot like
credibility entirely.
it'll look a lot like the Never Trumpers. The the well, it'll be almost the opposite of the Never Trumpers. The BLM's going to come out and say, instead of, we hate Donald Trump so much that even though we're all rock rib conservatives and have never voted for a Democrat in our lives, we're suddenly going to vote for abortion and gun control because we don't like his mean tweets. You're going to get almost the opposite thing. You're going to get a bunch of popular black and Black Lives Matter supporting celebrities that come out and they're just like, hey, we are totally pro cop now. We are pro dirty cop. We
Right.
are pro aggressive prosecution. Lock them up. Lock them up. Let's get them working on the chain gang.
Yep. The hypocrisy is going to be funny to watch. All right, fellas, I'm going to jump off. Let you get another caller.
Thanks for calling,
See you
brother.
guys.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Hey,
All
we don't
right,
get to
so
do this very often in reverse, but that's our buddy Alex from
yeah.
Polytech. They broadcast on Facebook. You should go check them out. That's Politek. Alex and Danny from Polytech. So go give them a like. They do a good show.
And we guests appear on Polytech really a couple times a month this year. We've been doing that, not regularly, but often. And frankly, the only reason we don't have Alex and Danny on our show most of the time is because, well, we're on early. They bring us on at like 10:30 on a Saturday.
Yep. Alex was saying something about the hypocrisy, and I'd actually like to reference something that I said earlier in the week. The left is completely adrift. They're based entirely on raw emotion and feels good man politics. They don't have any first principles apart from America is the problem. That seems to be the only uniting thing on the left. It would cause you or I cognitive dissonance to have to square the circle of having Kamala Harris be the standard bearer for BLM. But there's a whole lot of lefties. It's going to sail right past them. I mean, it's going to sail right past them because it feels good in the moment. Oh, we've got a female POC for VP. And lest we not forget, she couldn't win the nomination on her own. She couldn't. So if somehow
Well, no, you can't get the whole primary electorate on the casting couch.
I mean, you could try. It might work.
And I'm sure she did. She had that little bump in the polls toward the beginning, so who knows?
But she couldn't win the primary on her own. So I think it's fair to say she couldn't win the presidency on her own. She can't even win the primary. So if the magic hat trick happens and Joe Biden is elected and then resigns within the first year or two, or croaks or has an aneurysm or whatever, and she ascends to the presidency, man, you want to talk about the ultimate soft bigotry of low expectations. A black woman cannot become president on her own merit. She has to have it handed to her. And that won't matter much for the feel-good lefties, but for people like us that can read between the lines, man, that's that's actually a pretty stinging indictment of the Democrat Party, their opinion of black people generally. I mean, forget the fact that Barack Obama legitimately won the election, just a few years ago. Well,
Did he?
mostly legitimately, but you know my point. Well, he won the nomination. He won the presidency. I mean, in that first election in particular, I mean, he got like some 10 million, 12 million more votes than John McCain.
Yeah. Um.
But yeah, I like Alex's description that this is tone deaf.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. That's pretty spot on. Um. And you know, damn, I was going to say something about Herman Cain. Herman Cain was almost the first black president, but
yeah, I know. I'm still sad about that one.
um, and I'm not even talking about when he ran in the primary to be the pick against Obama. That was 2012, right? Yeah, right. He didn't run in '08. He ran in 2012, right? And they took him out with basically political character assassination. It was, oh look, here we go. We we made up a sex scandal to knock this guy out. But I guess a lot of people don't realize that Herman Cain tried to run for president a few years before that. Was it late '90s or was it actually 2000? But Herman Cain,
Oh, he ran for Senate.
no,
It
he
was,
ran for president. He ran for president before. Um, he he registered. He officially registered, and then there were some shenanigans with getting on the ballot in a few states, and he backed off. He never really campaigned, but he was no shit registered to run for president one time before the one where he was actually on the debate stages. Um,
leading in the polls at one point. He had the center podium for one of those
significantly,
debates.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, quite possibly the only reason that Herman Cain was not the president at that point is because the Democrats found a bunch of women to come up and pretend like he touched them, and then disappear on, you know, off onto a fat DNC funded. It probably wasn't even all that fat a paycheck. A couple $100,000 or something maybe.
So
Hell, if that.
I have to go soon, but I do want to touch on one other thing because I had the runoff election yesterday.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I haven't seen any of the results yet.
well, Marjorie Greene did win.
Yeah,
I think that's hilarious. I really do. And I get it. People are like, John Cowan is a neurosurgeon, and he's also pretty darn conservative. And, she ran a flashy campaign based in part around a whole cult of personality thing. And you know what? I would prefer a world where that wasn't necessary. I really would. But that's not the world we live in. The world we live in where I mean, and honestly, if you want to blame somebody for it, don't blame Trump. This isn't Trump's fault. This is Obama's fault. All that soaring rhetoric, vote for change, yes, we can, Obama, Obama, It's his fault. Obama was an empty suit. He wasn't really an empty suit. If you read his books, you knew he was a freaking Marxist. But he was an empty suit. You could project onto him whatever you wanted. In fact, I seem to recall Joe Biden projected on him one time, described him as a clean cut, well spoken African American, and it's just magical.
oh, he described him as the first articulate African American
Yeah,
that he had ever. It was either the first one that he had ever met or the first one that
excuse
was
me.
ever elected. I think he said he's the first clean, articulate black man he'd ever met. Like, all right,
Something
Joe,
like that.
I've I think I've met a few that were, I don't know, dudes, you know, people.
So, but you know what's going to come next? Okay, the all the stuff about QAnon, and she's racist and anti-Semitic, and I mean they're about to go after her hard. The New York Times already has a piece out, which I attempted to read, but they wanted me to sign up for something, so I didn't finish reading the article because to the New York Times. They even offered me a free subscription, and I didn't even sign up for that. No, dear New York Times, I don't want it even if it's free. If I can't click on it on the internet and just glance at it, nah.
Okay, so let me throw you a little tip there, Cameroon. And I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen so I can show the people what I'm talking about here. Here's the article. Here's an article from the New York Times. Here's the blocker asking me to get a subscription. I am gonna copy this URL. We're gonna pop over to archive today, and it says this page was last archived 12 hours ago. I'm gonna go ahead and save the archive again. I'll pop back, close that, and there it is. You don't have to pay the subscription, and you don't have to let them get your ad revenue. You can go and get it right there at archive. So the way to excuse me, go find those at archive. Do your Google search, read the headline, don't click on the headline, and then pop over to archive.today, archive.us, archive.is, and type in as much of the exact headline as possible and find your article. Boom. Now you don't have to pay, you don't have to give them your money.
All right.
I got Macareno in the chat line. Hello, my brother. But you might have picked in just a little too late there, Matt, because I think I got to kick Cameron out to go to work.
Yep.
You got anything you want to close on there, brother?
Nope. Nope. I'm good. I'm good.
All right. Well then, y'all be safe out there. It's and we'll see you soon. We'll see you tomorrow. Go and laugh and be amused that old creepy Joe picked
The slut.
the dirty cop.
The dirty, dirty cop. Yeah.
Dirty cop. Y'all be safe out there, gentlemen.